Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So we are at the process of explaining the Shamatha meditation, which means meditation of peace. And we have explained, as long as our mind is not in peace, so we cannot see things as they really are. So, because we do not see things as they really are, so we our mind transforms the objects, and the objects again transform our mind. This is the dependent origination. According to all Buddhist traditions, what the Buddha has actually seen under the Bodhi tree is precisely the dependent origination. So, in fact, the object of realization is the dependent origination. When we have penetrated the dependent origination, we have penetrated the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths, they are the most important object of wisdom. Now, because we don't understand the Four Noble Truths, therefore our mind is subject to perversion. We see permanence in impermanent. We see happiness in suffering. We see self where there is no self as such. And this is why we create all kinds of karma based on attachment. This is very important to understand. If we don't understand, we will have difficulty in really learning the Shamatha meditation in accordance with the Buddhist principles. All Buddhist principles, in fact, have to do with the dependent origination. There is, as such, no exception to this rule. So, the process of learning Shamatha also has to do with dependent origination. This is very important to understand. Now, because dependent origination is actually everything we experience with the worldly mind, so we can explain the dependent origination in many different ways. That's why you have in Buddhism so many different traditions, so many different views, so many different approaches. But actually, if they are Buddhist approaches, they are all based on the interpretation of dependent origination. So, in order to understand the shamatha, we also have to understand the causes of shamatha. We have explained the scope of shamatha. Now, we have to understand the causes of shamatha. When we understand the causes correctly, we will also understand the effect correctly. We have explained that in the Buddhist tradition, the shamatha is also called the citta bhavana, which means the becoming, literally becoming the mind. When we learn shamatha, we becoming the mind. And we becoming the mind by understanding the causes of the pure mind. Because even though explained in many different ways, the most important principle to understand is that the nature of the mind is purity. But we do not see this purity because our mind is not appeased. And our mind is not appeased due to many, many different causes, many, many different reasons, many, many different conditionings. When we have shamatha, then we can see more and more clearly these conditionings. Then the shamatha open the eye of wisdom. When the mind becomes pure, we can see the conditionings clearly. When the mind is not pure, our mind is transformed by the objects, and again, itself is being transformed. Itself is being in the process of what is called parinama. Bianhua. So the mind is what makes the object transformed, and the object is what again makes the mind transform. And this transformation is on the base of our wrong seeing. Basically, this wrong seeing means using the Mahayana view is the very obstinate idea of a self-existent nature in beings and in things. This is what transforms our mind, and this is by what our mind itself is transformed. So we have explained in this tradition you're going to learn, we learn shamatha with the help of an object. Now you have got two objects, the in-breath and the out-breath. And you have got another object which is the blue color. So, in the process of learning the shamatha, you will yourself experience how the object transformed the mind and how the mind transformed the object. So, this is very important for opening the Dharma eye, the wisdom eye. Actually, the true nature of the object, as we have explained, is not actually what we usually see, what we usually hear, what we usually smell. Based on our ideas of what is good, what is bad, what is pleasant, what is unpleasant, what I like, what I don't like, what I want, what I don't want. All these are the things which transform the mind and by which the object is also transformed. Now, when you meditate on the breath, you will experience in the beginning, when you have not yet attained shamatha, the breath will be very different. The experience of breath will be very different. Because you want to control it, you want to possess it, you want to hold it, you want to have it the way you would like to have it. So you will experience a gross breathing. So this is how you experience the object when you bring the mind to the object by force. Now, in daily life, mostly our habits are to conduct our mind to the object by force, because we want it, we don't want it, we like it, we don't like it. But we are not aware how this transforms the object and transforms our consciousness. Now, as long as we meditate with this tendency of possessing the object, holding the object by force, liking the object, disliking the object, so our perception of the object will be gross, our experience of the object will be gross. According to the Buddhist teachings, actually the defilements or the veils of our mind, they are our grossness, nothing else. This grossness actually in Buddhism has a technical word, daushturiam. Tsu Jung, Tsu Jung, Putin. When our mind is covered by desire, by anger, by worry and excitement, by sloth and torpor, by doubt, it is gross. And this grossness is manifested. I will try to keep to the material you have in your book, in the three visions. This grossness is manifested by the tendency of mind either to thinking, which is called laya, chen, or the tendency of mind to excitement, tiaoqi. So this is the essence of the grossness of our mind. Most of the time, unfortunately, we are not aware that this mind has this tendency either of thinking or of being excited, because we identify ourselves with our likings, dislikings, judgments, our views. So, in your text, we are like a blind man. Blind man touching the elephant and thinking the elephant, very famous simile in Buddhism, thinking the elephant is like a big tube or like a big pillar. Or like some very firm javelin. This is how we transform the object through our mind, and how the mind transforms our object. So the next step is then we identify with our likings, and pleasant, and liking is connected with a pleasant sensation, disliking with the unpleasant sensation. And if we don't have liking or disliking, then our mind loses sensitivity. It thinks. And when we have liking or disliking, we become excited. And this is how we actually spend most of our time. So, this condition the Buddha has discovered is a trouble. We beings, we are in trouble. Now, how to get out of this trouble? We have explained by the story of the naughty child coming to a anthill. As long as the cobra is in the anthill, we are in danger. When we have active defilements, the cobra will bite us. When we don't have active defilement, the cobra is sleeping, but it is still there. When it has chance to manifest, it will manifest. And it manifests itself precisely by this grossness. Dausturyam, Tsuzhong. Now, this grossness has many nuances and many forms. Actually, the Buddhist scriptures study in detail all these different manifestations of grossness and explain them in an incredible detail. According to the Mahayana teachers, we have actually only completely abandoned all tendencies to grossness when we have become the Buddhas. In the mind of Buddha, there is not even a tendency to grossness. And because we are beings in the sense that we are ruled by our habits, which are results of our karma, as long as we have the habits, we are in a way not completely free from grossness. Now, we practice meditation in order to change our habits. By changing our habits, we change our mind. If we don't change our habits, it will be very difficult to practice meditation. So it is very important to understand that our success in meditation is to a great extent connected with our ability to change our habits which are ruling us, whether we are conscious of it or not conscious of it. The habits are ruling us. The habits are our worldly mind. So, your explanation of the shamatha in your 3 visions, you can connect with the idea of changing the habits. The changing the habits means, in your 3 visions, is a very simple explanation, is explained as removing the 5 thoughts by means of 8 antidotes. These they translate as antidotes, but actually in Sanskrit this is called prahana samskara. It means the formations of the mind which remove these thoughts. And they remove these thoughts, in Buddhism, when we speak of the compounded, we speak of the samskaras. The samskaras are everything that is created. The samskaras, this literally means sam means together, kara means to make. We are made together of many, many, many things. But because we do not see these many, many things, we believe there is such a thing like a self. We are made of many, many things, but each and every of the things, each and every content of our body and of our mind has a different function, different manifestation, different causes, yet they exist all together. So that which covers our mind has also its causes and conditions. That which unveils our mind has also its causes and conditions. To understand them means to understand the process of appeasing the mind. And when the mind is appeased, then we can start learning, seeing things as they really are. When we see things as they really are, we can not only temporarily remove the veils which cover the mind, but we can remove them completely, for good. So the grossness becomes less and less. This is a process of meditation. This is a process of learning shamatha and vipassana. The process of learning shamatha and vipassana is making the grossness less and less. Because the grossness is less and less, therefore disturbances are less and less. Why? Because we have changed our habits. We do not conduct the mind to the object by force, but by wisdom and by concentration. So we can witness very clearly how our mind transforms the objects and how the objects are transformed by our mind. So now you are working with the breath and you are working with the blue color. So try to see this very clearly. When you start working with a blue color, you will have to open your eyes and look at the blue color as something outside. Because your mind is not used to meditation, so you may start thinking about the petals of the blue flower, of the different nuances of the blue color. And you may engage in the idea of liking and disliking. When, by looking for a longer period of time at the blue color, when you close your eyes, you will also see this blue color. This blue color will not be the same as the blue color you have seen outside. So you will get some intuition how the mind transforms the object. When you have a not clear image of the blue color, then it will keep on changing. But when you have a clear image of the blue color, it will become different in virtue of your one-pointedness. The very blue color will become very different. This blue mind will completely transform the blue color. Yet it will not be the same, but it also will not be completely different. Similarly, with the breath, in the beginning, you will feel the breath rather as a rough sensation, bodily sensation of coolness when you breathe in, of heat when you breathe out, and of rubbing. But if you can concentrate, all these sensations will go into the background. The breath will become very smooth, becomes more and more subtle. The better concentration, the more subtle the breath. Until it becomes so subtle that you can hardly perceive it. When it becomes so subtle that you can hardly perceive it, the very object of the breath becomes illumined. Finally, you don't feel anymore the breath, but you only feel the image, illumined image of the breath. This is how the mind transforms the object, and the object is transformed by the mind. So, as long as we are not awakened, our mind is always living in the delusion of object being this or that. And our reaction to the object is accordingly. In the Theravada tradition, we have been used to practice very important meditation, the meditation on the impurity of the body. This is also very interesting meditation. Later maybe some of you can try. You meditate on the corpses. Corpse is very disgusting. Especially if it is decaying, if it is inflated. Now, when you meditate with concentration, with one-pointed mind, you experience a very ugly object, but that object becomes very beautiful because your mind has become beautiful. The skull becomes shining, skeleton becomes shining. So the beautiful, the mind transforms the beautiful into non-beautiful, the non-beautiful into beautiful, the object of liking into the object of disliking, the object of disliking into the object of liking. So learning meditation is learning to understand this process. So now time is over, we have 20 minutes, so try to concentrate either on breath or on the blue color and see how in virtue of gathering the good qualities, good habits connected with meditation, you are engaged in the process of transforming the object and transforming the mind accordingly. So we will learn in the coming days more and more about the conditioning of meditation. Now, first some basic principles which should be the base for our understanding of meditation in a Buddhist perspective. Yuan ci gong de pu ji yi qie, wo dan yi zhong sheng, jie gong chen fo tao. May the merits we have gained spread to all beings so that myself and them together attain the Buddhahood. Thank you.